Live from Lagos, Nigeria, this is Lunchtime Politics. I'm Jeffrey Uzama. Of course, let's bring you the big stories we're tracking in the polity at the moment right now. Former governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, was declared wanted by the EFCC over allegation of fraud on his invitation by the commission in Abuja. More trouble for Julius Abure as Independent National Electoral Commission INEC declines recognition of his leadership of the Labour Party, says his tenure ended in June 2024. And former Chief of the Army Staff, General Theophilus Danjuma, retired, asks military hierarchy to end banditry and killings as soon as possible. Thanks again for joining us on the program. Let's bring you the latest update on what we've been tracking in the polity. Just moments ago, we understand that the immediate past governor of Kogi State, who was declared wanted by the EFCC for alleged fraud, has honored that invitation by the commission. Mr. Yahaya Bello is said to have reported at the EFCC headquarters in Abuja, accompanied by some high-profile citizens. A statement by the director of media of his media office, Mr. Ohiare Michael, says Mr. Bello is at the EFCC's office to clear his name, explaining how he stalled at all this while because he was seeking for enforcement of his fundamental right in order to ensure due process. It says the former governor, Bello, had always been represented by his counsel at the court hearings as a sign of for the respect for law and order. The EFCC yet to comment on this particular development. So our eyes are actually, and our ears and our persons were waiting for the outcome of that invitation. As soon as we get any update from the EFCC, we'll bring you right here on Channels Television. But away from that, a former Chief of Army Staff, General Theophilus Danjuma, has challenged military top brass to end banditry and killings, in his words, as soon as possible. The octogenarian gave the charge in Abuja during a book presentation where he asked the military to rise to the occasion in keeping the peace. In response, the Chief of Defense Staff said the armed forces won't be deterred by the challenges confronting them in the fight against banditry and terrorism.
Our number one problem today is security. We must end the banditry and the killings that are going on in our country as soon as possible. The responsibility are on your shoulders. Those of you who are still serving, no excuses. Absolutely no excuses.
The armed forces of Nigeria is positioned, is willing, is dedicated and committed in ensuring that we restore peace and security in our own dear country. We will not relent, we shall not be deterred. There are going to be challenges, yes, but that's why we're here. I want to assure you that we have learned a lot from your record. Very, very distinguished senior officers that have modeled us all through the years. We cannot afford to fail, and we will not fail.
Let's now talk politics. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has refused to recognize Mr. Julius Abure as the national chairman of the Labour Party, despite retaining his name on his website in the list of political party chairmen or party's chairman. This new revelation and development is contained in a counter-affidavit filed in the Federal High Court Abuja in response to Labour Party's suit challenging his exclusion from INEC's refresher training for uploading party agents ahead of the Edo and Ondo states governorship elections. INEC insists in the document that Mr. Julius Abure's tenure as national chairman of the Labour Party ended in June 2024. The Labour Party has been enmeshed in fresh leadership tussle since June this year, when the party's Congress in Anambra State extended the tenure of Julius Abure-led executive. The outcome of that Congress has been questioned by many within the party, including the former deputy chairman, Mr. Callistus Okafor, the governor of Abure State, Alex Oti, and the 2023 presidential candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, who recently jointly held a national congress to resolve the impasse by setting up a caretaker committee for the party ahead of the convention. An issue of the Labour Party is in focus at the first part of the conversation. I have a two-part conversation. One has to do with the Labour Party. The other has to do with the elections that are coming up in Edo just about 72 hours from now. Wednesday residents will be filing out to decide who succeeds Godwin Obaseki. But let's stay with the Labour Party. Callistus Okafor, one of the leaders of the Labour Party, joins me from our Abuja studio. Mr. Okafor, it's good to see you again.
Thank you for having me. You kept on making the same mistake again, calling me. Yes, I'm one of the leaders, but please, why don't you address me properly? I am the deputy national chairman. By that position, that makes me the authentic acting national chairman of Labour Party. Now, what stops you to address me like that?
No, I stay within the bounds of the law. INEC has not clearly addressed you as such. INEC had actually recognized Julius. No, just hold on. INEC had actually recognized Julius Abure until June. That's what we're learning now. So I like to stay within the course of the law and all of that. So just bear with me on this particular one. So what do you make of this quote-unquote lack of leadership of the Labour Party? You're making claims. The CTC has set up a caretaker committee. INEC has come out to say, Julius Abure, sorry, we've not been inviting you for all of these meetings because we can tell you that June was when your tenure ended. As I speak, I think the NWC of the Labour Party, the one that is not recognized by INEC, they're having a press conference. I need your quick response on this.
Thank you so much for having me once again. I want to still state here that INEC, I just want to thank God that INEC has woken up from their sleeping or from their slumber. And INEC has decided to do the right thing, to follow the constitution of Labour Party. Where I disagree with INEC here now is that when INEC said that Abure's tenure has elapsed in June, INEC is wrong. They're wrong. Abure has never had a tenure. Abure has never had a tenure. What Abure had was an agreement between Abure and NLC in INEC that they gave him one year to be on that seat. That is not a tenure. Then when that one expired, it was 2023 election, then Abure still asked for 3 years. No, it was His Excellency P2B in Asaba said, listen, this election remained 1 year, so we'll give you only 1 year. That is 2024 that expired in June. So when INEC keep on saying Abure's tenure, Abure has never had a tenure. An acting national secretary who by only God knows means became a substantive chairman does not make him have a tenure. If Abure had followed the due process, the constitution of the party, passed through convention, and there emerged as a national chairman of Labour Party, he has 4 years tenure. So Abure has never had a tenure. It's a welcome development that INEC has really. I want to thank the INEC chairman. Honestly, he's doing very well. I understand that sometimes he believed that his men, he has in so many departments, that they're supposed to do the right thing. But sometimes people will go out of their way to do some things that even their chairman will not know. But the good thing that the chairman is, his eyes is really in Labour Party. And I believe with what is going on now, that the right thing, which I've been saying since, a judgment that has not been obeyed, judgment of a competent court that I was given. And since then, nobody, the leadership, they refused to obey it. You see the Labour Party legal advisor, he came out and said, listen, this judgment has not been obeyed. So we are in the process of getting the judgment, getting everybody to obey this judgment. Abure is an acting national secretary. And in the consent judgment, I spoke with Abure this morning. as Abure, there is a need for us to meet. You can see you have hit a bridge wall. So at this point, let us come back to the table. Let's come back to the right thing and do the right thing.
Which is where I want to come to. How many people have you contacted the Nenade Usman let me call the CTC now, set up by Alex Oti and Peter Obi? And have you reached out to Julius Abure? Because this is quite concerning that 72 hours to the first off-cycle election in 2024, Labour Party appears not to have a national representation from what INEC is saying. Have you also reached out to INEC? Who are you talking to and what are they telling you from the party to the electoral umpire?
Anyway, the right people on this issue they are my very self group, Abure-led group, Apapa-led group, and NLC and TUC. These are the beneficiary of this consent judgment. The other ones you are calling, I don't have any personal issues with anybody. I'm only following the constitution of Labour Party. I'm only following the consent judgment, everything written in the consent judgment that we obey according to the constitution of Labour Party, not according to the constitution of some like minds in Abia State that do what they know how to do very well. If you recall, this like minds came there and do the abracadabra. Is for me, it doesn't make any sense, because whenever you do something that's against the rule of law, against the constitution of the party, against the electoral act, then I don't like to discuss such things. So I don't want to discuss that at all. I don't want to discuss that. They were clever immediately after.
All right, Mr. Okafor, so that I can take as much questions and ask you as much questions as possible within the time we have. We know that Mimiko was the governor under Labour, including Adams or Shomole. So this is not the first time the Labour Party is having power. But as we speak right now, one of the candidates that did pretty well, came third in the last election, is Peter Obi. Alex Oti is an incumbent and is sitting governor of Abia State. I saw, I think, a senator from Anambra State, Senator's House of Reps member, who were in that convention. I don't want to call it convention now, the meeting they had that the caretaker committee was set up. So these are people that have the mandate of the people, as it were, at different level. I mean, besides Peter Obi now, who didn't win the election. I mean, the other ones that are elected. So can you really dismiss what they bring to the table at the end of the day? So what is the way forward? Because yes, the Labour Party appeared to be a special purpose vehicle to get the ambition of Peter Obi. But now that has been aggregated, it looks like there's no end in sight. Can there be an end in sight?
Thank you very much again. I want to let you know that with all due respect to His Excellencies, Mr. Peter Obi and His Excellencies Dr. Alex Oti and so many other people that were there, I also saw distinguished Senator Victor Ume, who has been a political party leader in Apuga, who also fought the battle that I'm fighting now. So I also saw him there. You see, when you use the word that this man came to Labour Party, ran an election, Dr. Oti won election, Peter Obi did marvelously very well. This is not in contention at all. They are two different things. Where you're talking about election, we are talking about the political party issues, the issues that was existed before they came in. This problem started 2017. Then I can assure you that Peter Obi was in PDP or in Apuga. I don't know. So you can see IOT. I don't know whether it's APC or Apuga or whichever. So you can understand that this problem has existed even before they were in court, before they came in. So if they on their own want to sort it out, say, listen, now we are here. We are now we're not leaders of this party, that for this reason we want this war to end. They would have done the right thing, calling the people that in question, these people that are fighting all this war before they came in. They bring them together and say, listen, can we sit down and discuss it? Can we know the problem? Rather, they want to go and put their own. Putting their own in Abia State show you desperation to hijack the party, desperation to take over the leadership of the party, which does not exist, which cannot exist because there is a constitution of Labour Party.
Mr. Callistus, is anybody contacting you at all? Because a lot of people did not know about you. With greater sense of respect, I've said this before. I know you were deputy to the man who passed on, God rest his soul. But since this Abure issue before the election and all of that, so is any of the faction, allow me to say, contacting you and you guys are maybe having a conversation, or is just you fighting a lone battle? Who is even on your side?
Good. During when His Excellency Peter Obi and his obedient came in, they contacted me through Doyo Kupe, and Doyo Kupe came on the table of talking and discussions and was threatening us and said to me, they have mapped us the judges and the lawyers and sons and this, dropping names. I said, listen, I thought we came here for discussion, but coming here to drop names to me, it doesn't make any sense, because I am here when you guys came in. You can't intimidate me. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm only fighting the right cause. I'm only fighting for the constitution of the party. I'm fighting for the Labour Party members, not for somebody who just decamp and want to take over everything. Now, so they have done that. I have not talked to Peter Obi. I sent Peter Obi messages. He never replied. Maybe Peter Obi has not met me. I have not met with him. I don't know. I don't have anything against him. What he have against me is what I do not know. And maybe what people has told him about me. But what he is doing, my brother, if he's doing it against the law, against the constitution of Labour Party, against the Electoral Act, you can see he will not excel. It's only one way. Only one way to this problem. That one way of this problem, which we have started, like I said, just hold on. I told you this morning, I contacted Abure. I have contacted Lamidi Apapa. These are the people that are fighting in Labour Party. These are the National Working Committee that inherited the consent judgment. I have contacted the right people I will contact. After making peace with them, I will go to NLC, which is also primary stakeholders, TUC. I will meet with them. I have met with TUC severally. I have met with TUC and the NLC severally. These are the people I'm supposed to meet. When I meet them, I'm not telling you that I can meet, just please excuse me. I'm not telling you I can meet His Excellency Peter Obi or Dr. Alex Oti. I will meet with them, but I must agree with my people before I meet with them. They are primary stakeholders too, but they don't have constitution of the party to do what they did there. That's the truth.
All right, Mr. Callistus Okafor, allow me to call you a leader of the Labour Party. Permit me to call you a leader of the Labour. I also reached out to the NWC, but they said they are having a press conference, so they couldn't join us, so that I would have had that conversation. Thank you so much for coming on the program. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right, before I jump right into the next conversation with the Action Democratic Congress candidate in Edo State governorship election, let's tell you something that the federal government is saying. The federal government is alerting Nigerians to the water release from the Lagdo Dam in Cameroon. In a statement by the Director General and Chief Executive Officer of the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency, Mr. Umar Mohammed, the authorities of the dam initiated control water releases from Tuesday, September the 17th, 2024. According to them, the water discharge is anticipated to progressively escalate to about 1,000 cubic per meter, 1,000 cubic meter per second, I beg your pardon, over the next 7 days based on the inflow from the upstream Garwa River. Okay, let's move on now to just about a few days from now, the people in Edo State, residents of Edo State, will be filing out to, among 17 candidates, choose who will be the governor of the state after Godwin Obaseki, which is why we're bringing this to the fore. Joining us on the program from Benin City, the Edo State capital, is Mr. Derek Izedomen. Is the ADC governorship candidate in that election. Mr. Izedomen, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much, Jeff, and thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I'm going to ask you a very straight question, because I like straight questions. So do you stand a chance in this election, in your view, objectively and candidly? The reason is because when we look at the permutation, with all sense of respect, I must say, there's a battle between Obaseki and Akpata in Edo Central, where they come from. The big political parties, as it's called, Ighodalo versus Okpebholo. Edo South, I should say, Obaseki Akpata, Ighodalo versus Okwebolo in Edo Central. And then when you go north, you have big weights like Senator Adams or Shomole versus Philip Shaibu. Do you stand a chance?
Thank you. That's a very interesting question. Of course I do. I do because, if you look at the dynamics, I mean, I've traveled up north, central, and even the south of Edo State. What you find is the people are really tired of the kind of governance we see today. And when you look at the sort of zero-sum game that these big parties are playing, we know from our own permutations that they will end up cancelling themselves out. And as they say, when the property of the kid is held up high, at some point the adult will bring it down, and the kid will have his property. So the Edo people are ready to take their property back. Permutations are fine, but when you feel the pulse of the people, it is clear to us that Edo State people are looking for something fresh, something new, and we would take the spoils out of the fight of these two big parties. That's our mission, and that's what we're going to do. So in terms of the direct response to your question, yes, we have a chance.
So you are sounding to me like we're going to be around the fringes and get from it what will be the destruction of both parties when they go against themselves. Do you even have the war chest? Because elections are expensive.
Yeah, we don't play the kind of politics they play, the politics of money bags. We are trying to change the equation in our state. And what we are doing is asymmetrical. When you're fighting a conventional army, you go with strategies that are different from conventional warfare. So we are doing, if you like, political guerrilla warfare. I wouldn't want to go into the details, but it's hinged around community organizing. And the people in these big parties will receive a shocker come September 21st.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. It's just 72 hours from now. We're going to see how things play out. Interesting. We always like the conversation and the rhetorics of politicians before the polls, and we'll get to see what happens after the poll. We've seen that ADP, NRM, SDP, and I think the other two parties have decided to say they want to support Monday Okwebolo on this one. But let's talk about what you will do for the people. And I want to ask some specific questions. For instance, I understand that Edo has about 9,000 kilometers of road, and most of them are federal roads. A couple of them are in bad state. For you, if that is a situation which we've seen which we heard from the people that we've spoken to, and sometimes government counters the accusation that it's more federal roads, it's not state road, and all that back and forth. What exactly will you do differently? Obaseki was there. He's been there for 8 years.
What we intend to do, and that hinges on one of the cardinal points of our agenda, which is the RAISE agenda, which is for rural revitalization, for R, A for agriculture, I for industrialization, I for infrastructure, and of course, S for security, E for excellence. But if I zero in on I for industrialization, infrastructure, it is very key that the infrastructure in the state is at least above par for the sort of strategies we intend to deploy, because if you want foodstuff to leave the farm gate to the factories, you need good roads, you need good infrastructure. If you want the processed food or processed materials to leave the factory gate to the ports, airports or seaports, you need the right infrastructure, i.e. roads. To answer your question, yes, it's a key area we want to focus on. But of course, we will not attack the road problem at once. We are going to look at these areas of strategic importance, those areas that will increase our productivity quotient, if you like what the economists call the solo coefficient. How will this road transform into revenue for the state and, of course, comfort for the people? So we have a clear plan of setting road networks that we want to start with. And those are what we will kick off with initially, looking at the resources at our disposal. So we would not go the way of the present administration, where we put everything to the federal government. There are clever financing ways we are looking at to bring succor to our people, to open up the intercity roads.
Mr. Zodomen, I would have loved,
yes.
My apologies, please. I would have loved you to explain to us how this strategy, how it will work, because there's a debt burden if you are lucky to become the next governor of about 500 billion naira. Although Obaseki has been able to increase the IGR, but it's nothing compared to the level of need in terms of finances. So big plans, but we don't have the money. Even the federal government is struggling, which is why they floated the naira and removed subsidy. Where will you get the money?
They are struggling. They are struggling because there's a lot of cluelessness. I'll tell you why. Fixing an economy requires the right people, the square peg and the square hole. But leave the federal chaos for now. Let's come back to Edo State. Talking about Edo State. Yes, it is true that we have close to 600 billion debt that we're sitting on. Why that debt is there is a different question. But I do know that in our plan, we would look at this debt, look at the details, and we have started looking at ways that we can explore refinancing this debt, extending its tenure, and getting more favorable terms so that we can create some fiscal headroom for us to borrow more, because we need to borrow. Let's call a spade a spade. What the problem is not about borrowing. It's what do you borrow to do and how do you spend that resources. A lot of people, a lot of governments we've seen in Edo State, they've borrowed money when dollar was 156, 350 naira to the dollar. They use it to paint red roofs and do whatever they like for themselves, not really investing in productive capacity of our people. And then when you come back 10 years later, the dollar is 1,650, you find that a large part of our federal allocation and even our internally generated revenue go back to servicing humongous debt that have ballooned because of the difference in the dollar-naira exchange rate. So we want to borrow. We would borrow to transform our productivity quotient and invest heavily in the empowerment of our people. So yes, we would look at this debt, 600 billion, explore refinancing options. I bring in experts to explore the financing options and extend the tenure so we can have some fiscal headroom to do the government work that we need to do.
All right, Mr. Zolomé, great ideas. A quick one before we wrap up. One of the challenges we're having even at the federal level is a level of social safety net that we need as a hedge or a buffer against what we're feeling as a country. Our basics, lights, road, and all of these elements that we're looking for, they are really not in place. So my question to you, how would you repurpose or rethink the economy of Edo State? You mentioned a few, so that things like water can be available to the people through the pipes. It's almost a rare sight in Nigeria. 30 seconds.
Thank you. I'll go at it differently. What we need to do is to democratize prosperity. What do I mean by that? The number one agenda, the number one area we want to focus on is agriculture. So we want to empower people. I'll give you a classic example. If I give women in the villages today, one of the local governments, 500 goats, Nigerian dwarf goats that produces 4 kids every year. In a year, these dwarf goats will produce 20,000 kids. These 500 women with 500 women with 10 goats will have 20,000 goats. In today's amount, you have a goat for 50,000 naira. Immediately, you create 1 billion naira for a local government. So there are clever ways we intend to create prosperity for our people and empower their earning capacity. Because when they are earning more, then they can go into the market to spend more and create a multiplier effect in the economy. So we're not just going to be giving rice and giving handouts. We're going to restructure the economy and try to address the structural economic imbalance that we see so that we can turn our economy from consumption to production. That is, invest in the productive power of our people, especially manufacturing, moving things from the farm gates to the processing factories. Even if it's just repackaging cashew nuts, we've done the economics and we see how much more money we can put in our people's pocket, and specifically for export. So our focus is going to be exporting our agricultural products that have been processed. Yes.
Mr. Derek Izedomen, we wish you the very best. Now the Edo people can see you and they have a choice in their hands. 72 hours is all it takes. By this time on Saturday, we'll be looking at numbers and tallies. All the best. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Jeff. I wish the Edo State people a peaceful election, and I look forward to all of them going out to cast their ballots and their votes for ADC.
All right. Thank you for coming. Thank you so much for your time as well and your company. But remember, I'll remind you again about the flood alerts. Please go check it out and find out whether it affects your state. I'm Jeffrey Uzoma. You've been served on Lunchtime Politics.